Okay, so this is my 3D printed Theatrhythm arcade style controller. I tried to mimic the Final Fantasy Theatrhythm All-Star Carnival arcade controls. It is a little cramped though because I kind of just eyeballed and put the buttons where I thought they would be good. Some of it is a little cramped, but I can hit these buttons pretty well. And then I modified some analogs that I found online on Thingiverse, and these are 3D resin printed. And then I made these little dust covers. And then these buttons are actually from a Hori stick, arcade fighting stick that I had that I no longer needed because I just swapped those buttons out for Sanwas. The placement of this button, it's a smaller button. I thought it would be good, but my palm keeps hitting it when I play, so I don't use that for anything that might affect gameplay. I do have two other buttons here in the front. I think I use L and R for that, or maybe left and right, like the D-pad controls, and then I have one on the side here, and then there's another over here. On the front of it, the antenna is there for wireless gameplay, and then there's a hole here that I actually had to modify with a Dremel. There was actually a lot of that because I kind of just eyeballed everything. For a USB-C port so I could charge it. The PCB that I used is the Brook's Fighting Board, because to my knowledge it's the only one that supports analog control, but it is charged through USB-A, and I didn't want to keep using USB-A controller or cord to charge it, so I bought a converter to USB-C. So that's what this is right here. So yeah, and then it just goes up there to the hole, and then I'm gonna affix it with like some adhesive, just so it's easier for me to charge. So this is the board. This is the battery. I bought it separately, I think, or I took it off of another controller, but basically it allows me to use it wirelessly. There's a little wire over here that connects to that antenna for better wireless use. And then I had to buy some parts for the two analogs. They're just regular analog modules, and then I just replaced the caps on them, or I guess the nubs or whatever they're called. I can't think right now. With those 3D printed ones that I had talked about. I did a lot of dremeling because this was kind of just supposed to be like a prototype thing. There was a 3D printed model for an arcade stick, and then I just kind of filled it and then put the holes where I thought they would need to go. And then as I found that they weren't fitting, I just started dremeling where I had made mistakes. But it works pretty well. For these, I just 3D printed some standoffs, and then I screwed actually into the case. And I kind of just had to like eyeball it, or just kept trial and error to make sure that it wasn't sticking out too much or too little, and that I could move the analog freely. It works well right now. And then yeah, here's all the wiring, and I'm not very good with wire management, but it works. And then I just have like this foam pad that I leave here because I was getting some errors on the inputs, because I had like, you know, metal from here, from the leads of the wires touching other metal, and it would either short it or you know, mess up the ground. But that's basically it, and then I'll show some gameplay. Okay, I'm just gonna do some gameplay. FF4 is one of my favorites. You'll see on the UI that you know, you can tell that the controller is working correctly. On the right side here, I figured out that's home. On the left side, it's plus, and in the corner here is minus. It doesn't affect gameplay during stage, but here you can see. Oops. Okay, so let me do a different one. Here's one from 6, another favorite one. Again, these errors are probably going to be on me and not the controller. There you go. So yeah, I think all in all, it probably cost me about 100, maybe less than that. But that's because I already had the 3D printer. I already had the buttons. The material itself is not that expensive. Like, you get filament for like 15 to 20 bucks for a roll, and this would probably take like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of that. And then the buttons, if you can scavenge off something else like I did, that would be the best way to go. The analogs are also super cheap. I think you could buy like a pack of them for like 10 bucks. I'll leave some links in the description. The fighting board itself was probably the most expensive. I think it was about 60 bucks. And yeah, it just takes a little work. Luckily with the board, everything is screw-in and you don't have to like solder anything, which is a big plus. And then you just need the wiring. But yeah, you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll get to them. Thanks.